Hi, and welcome to the Momversation Club, the podcast born out of the idea that every mom needs a tribe. I'm Christina Struckmeyer.
And I'm Claire Strong. We're two mums just like you, navigating the chaotic, challenging, and often isolating world of motherhood.
It's said that it takes a village to raise a child, but in today's crazy world, we want to know where the F is the village.
Yep, it's a question that resonates with many of us who find ourselves raising children, managing careers, and trying to maintain our identities, often with a sense of isolation.
But we're here to remind you that you're not alone. The Momversation Club is your village, a place where you feel valued, appreciated, and understood.
We believe that by sharing our experiences, successes, and of course struggles, we can create a virtual village for all you amazing mums out there.
So join us every week for an honest, raw, relatable discussion about all aspects of being a mom, including the stuff you just can't talk about with other people.
So if you've ever asked yourself, where the F is that village? Then you found your tribe. Let's get into it. Hi, Christina.
Hey, Claire. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I love your outfit. You have this like cute denim type situation going on.
I do, but you know, it's funny because I just looked at the camera quickly. I like the image from our Riverside, which is what we film on, and it looked for a second like I didn't have any clothes on.
Oh, well, that would be a whole different type of show.
Too, but yeah, it kind of sits a little low. So I'm just gonna excuse you. Don't mind me if every 2 minutes I'm pulling it up. I just don't want people to think I'm recording naked. That said, I work with two colleagues at the BBC who have a podcast called The Naked Podcast, and they literally, this is so funny, they literally interview people in the nude. They're in the nude, and the guests are in the nude. I am not joking you. It's called. Yeah. Check them out.
Hopefully from the chest up or something. Like, are they?
Well, I mean, yeah, the camera's from there upwards, but they are like in the buff. In fact, we should have a show because that takes some guts. That takes some guts right there. Yeah,
I'll think about it.
We have to be in the nude, and they don't need to be either for our podcast. But I think we should. I would like to chat with them because, and the thing is, I think they only have women guests. Which I can, yeah.
That makes sense. And I imagine you'd be a lot more open if you're naked, you know?
That's why they're doing it that way. But yeah, it's so funny. So, yeah, when my jumps out, I was like, yeah, so do I. It's just, I can kind of look a little naked, depending on the camera angle. Anywho, that kind of plays in a little bit with our conversation today because.
Does it?
Because, you know, all your inhibitions go out the window when you're in the delivery room. Let's face it. You don't care whether you're naked, who sees you. You just need to get that baby out and have it all done with. And so what we're going to chat about today, Christina, is just in those early days, early weeks, early months, how other mums can help postpartum mums, those mums who are just newly home from the hospital. We've lived through it, we know, and you know what the people around them, what they can do to be really useful and helpful in those days. And actually, this episode was kind of inspired by someone you were chatting to, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am in the little toddler stage, and so because of that, a lot of the people I interact with are either have very young, like newborn babies or are pregnant, and everybody's kind of going in their second, third kids and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of friends of mine right now who are in that stage where they just had a baby and the baby's at home and maybe they aren't having visitors just yet, but you're looking for ways to support them. And I thought, well, I'm already doing this in my personal life of helping this mom, and maybe other people would love to hear ways to help, because I know when you're in it, it's so helpful to have that extra hand, to have that person checking in on you. And there's so many things we can do as mothers who've been through it that maybe other people who haven't wouldn't think to do. And so today's episode, I hope, will help you if you have one of those kinds of mamas in your life. Or maybe this will help you when you go into your next baby, if you're having babies still, kind of know what to ask for and maybe some ways to support you.
Yeah, and share that really sweet story. You're such a kind person, Christina. What did you do just a few days ago? You sent me some photos on WhatsApp. What did you do for your friend who's just had a baby?
Yeah. Well, we are so excited. One of our good friends, it's actually Alex's best man from his wedding. He got remarried, and his wife had two children from a previous marriage that were boys, and they had a baby together. And they were waiting to see whether it was a boy or girl, and it was surprise, surprise, a girl. And so she's getting to do the bows and all the fun, like frilly things for the first time. And she's, home healing and not quite in the visitor stage yet. But I thought, when I was in that stage, it was really helpful to have people come bring a meal for us and just drop it off. Like, not with the whole intention of needing to host someone, but just here's some food. Goodbye. And so what I did is, it was a Tuesday that I reached out to her a week prior and I said, hey, wondering, do you already have like an established meal train going on? Because I would love to bring you a meal like you brought us a meal when we were newly postpartum. And if so, I can connect to that person. And if not, what day works next week where I can just bring you some food? And she did not have an established meal train. So I went and claimed the next Tuesday. And on Taco Tuesday, which we do most of the time at my house on Tuesdays, I just made extra fixins of everything. I just doubled up all of it. And I brought her some warm, fresh barbecue chicken tacos with all the fixins. So like the onions, the pico de gallo, the lettuce, everything you need already warmed up, ready to go. And then I also went over to Costco and picked up just some extra like hors d'oeuvres type meals that they could have to snack on here and there for lunches, or maybe she's breastfeeding and just needs something to eat real quick. Like one-handed type meals. Just I grabbed pinwheels for this particular mom because I thought, what do the boys want to snack on? They probably don't want fancy charcuterie. They're going to want something hearty. So it was pretty easy for me, but I met her at the door. I got to see the baby. She's so cute and small. But there was no expectation of me going in or any of that stuff. It's just, here you go. We're thinking of you. When you have visitors, let us know. We'd love to snuggle. Otherwise, you guys have a good night. And we just left it at that. And it was just enough to say, hey, we see you and we want to support you in this space.
So what was the reaction when she opened the door and you presented her with all of that?
Well, I mean, I had this giant tray. I look like I was I put it all in like this tinfoil tray, like so that way she wouldn't have any dishes to return. And I put everything in like tinfoil and like things that I don't expect back, so she doesn't have to wash anything. And so when she opened the door, she was like, "Whoa, that's a big situation you've got there." So her husband came out and grabbed it from me. But yeah, she just kind of told me how she was doing. I asked how she was doing, which I want to talk about in today's episode because so much is like, oh, what a cute baby. But it's like, I am still a person who just birthed the child, So I was asking how she was doing at that time.
Which I bet she really appreciated, because you're right. Quite often the focus, well, not quite often, I'd say 99% of the time, everyone's so enthralled by this new baby. They want to know how the baby's doing. Oh, how are they feeding? How are they sleeping? Blah, blah, blah. Nothing about you.
Yeah.
Kind of as the mum quite often. And I'm sure these people are very well-meaning, but it's the new shiny object that they're interested in. And I think they think that you're this robot that just kind of gets on with it behind the scenes. And so it's what we want to talk about today, because, obviously that baby wouldn't be there without us. And frankly, those postpartum first days, weeks, even months are probably some of the most challenging of our lives, certainly physically. And then we have a lot of, emotional roller coasters going on. Postpartum depression can be thrown in the mix. And so, we really need to prioritize. We're the ones that need to be seen, and almost the babies should be the secondary kind of focus.
Yeah, I agree. I think outside of the baby's basic needs being met, the most important thing during those first few weeks, and honestly the first year, is how is mom doing? How's her mental health? How is she physically healing? How is she feeling with the routine shifts and the identity and all that stuff? She doesn't want to hear she probably does want to hear, but it's so refreshing to hear, how are you? How are you? And that was what I had said to her was, how are you navigating things? I know it's a big change to go from 2 to 3, and, how are you guys getting on? And kind of just hearing about how things are going. And, offering some help here and there. I said, when you feel up to it, I'd love to help you in this way or that way. And I offered some tangibles. And I think it's just important to recognize that they're a person, because they often get overlooked, not just from the people who are visiting and stuff like that, but also like the medical community. Like we've mentioned before, doctors don't even see moms till they're 6 weeks postpartum. They're a whole person. They just, it's so crazy. They just birthed the whole human out of their body. And especially with her, she had a C-section. So she's recovering from like a major surgery. And then in any other instance where you're recovering from major surgery, they'd be like, okay, here, some pain medication, you can rest, you can like take it easy. Not moms. We're handed a little bundle of joy and told, here, wake up every 2 hours. Good luck.
It is crazy, because whether you have a vaginal birth or a C-section, they are traumatic experiences. I remember when I think it was my youngest, Eva, talking to the midwife afterwards, and she said that giving birth is very similar to the injuries sustained in a car crash.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine, as if you or I were in a car crash, we would be in hospital for a few weeks, I'm sure, and then you'd be on bed rest for probably 3 months, doing nothing. And so the fact that, like you say, we're handed this baby, and it's like, you kind of don't exist anymore. Get on with it. Do what you need to do in order to keep this baby thriving and alive, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I would say her mental health, is the most important thing. Anyone's mental health after they just had a baby. And you had mentioned briefly about keeping an eye out for her demeanor, but like outside of the normal stuff. And what's interesting is I learned after I had my first child that it's normal to experience what's called the baby blues in those first 2 weeks. It's like 75% of women experience baby blues. And it's different than like a postpartum depression or anxiety, because it's really just shortened to that like little window of time. And it's, mood swings and anxiety and sadness and irritability and difficult sleeping. I mean, I wonder why, right? But, you're not yourself. You're dealing with so much change, and it can come out in weird spots. But if you notice that shifts longer periods or starts morphing into more of a depression, that's when you kind of want to be watchful. And it's interesting because everyone has that 2-week period, and then there are some people that continue on with that feeling of like, I guess, hopelessness, despair, kind of craziness that happens.
And I guess that really qualifies us in a unique way as fellow mums to be aware of those symptoms and those signals. So if you've got a friend who is displaying, signs of depression, keep an eye out for her, because it may be that the husband, the partner, the whoever, they're not really there. They maybe just are attributing, like you said, to lack of sleep, or, this is just what happens. But yeah, we do need to watch out for our fellow mums. But I want to share a nice story. So just like similar vein to what you were talking about with this friend that you recently helped out. So one memory that really sticks out to me, when I had Sophia, my eldest, brought her back from the hospital, and my mum came around with a hamper of really delicious goodies from my favorite shop. And so there were things like, cheeses, crackers, some cute little cakes in there, but so snacky things. But I just remember it being really helpful. And she'd kind of gone for a pink theme as well. So a lot of the food in there was pink. I just thought it was really sweet. So not only did it look pretty, but it was also really practical, because I'm just thinking back, my lounge, my living room was filled with pink roses, pink flowers that people had sent, which is really nice, really sweet. But
so
what am I
nice.
going to do? It is nice, but from a practical point of view, what am I going to do with a rose? Eat it? I mean, like, what? It looks pretty, but it's really not helping me out in any other way. That, okay, my living room looks pretty for the next 5 days until they die. So the fact that my mum came around with this hamper was great. I remember it being like, oh wow, that's a really practical yet sweet, cute thing to do.
I think that's a great gift. And she knew you. She knew you well and knew what to bring to you to make you smile. And I agree. Flowers are beautiful, but it ends up being another thing you have to do, like another job that you have to accomplish to change it. I'm team don't bring anything that requires more work. So that's what, but I am agreeing that you don't want to show up to a visit ever empty-handed. You want to bring something. So that's, whether it's a hamper full of goodies or donuts or coffee or tea, you'll know your mom the best. What does she like the most? And kind of going with that and surprising her, because it's nice to have those little surprises.
Thinking, what other things can we do then, Christine? We've touched upon bringing food over, which is really practical. And I'd say, really thinking back to that time in my life, that was potentially top of the list. But I'm also thinking, I remember, so a couple of friends and my parents too would take, so when I had my second, they would take Sophia, who would have been about 2 at the time, take her off my hands, because that's the thing, you're occupied with a newborn. And, quite often, and you don't mean to, but you're kind of neglecting the older ones a little bit at first, because you kind of really have to. And B, you can't, especially if they're younger and they still need your attention, it's impossible. You've got this baby that needs you every 2 seconds for literally everything. And then you've got a toddler or a young child who is also needing you, and they're used to your attention. So what do we think about?
That's such a good idea, because most of the moms I'm interacting with do have other children. And I think if you're close enough and they trust you, things like school drop-offs would be a great help. Especially if you have a child going to that school, like, hey, so-and-so, I am also going to that elementary school. Could I swing by and grab little Johnny? Like, be happy to do it for these next few weeks, or, maybe even ongoingly on certain days that maybe dad's not around or they need extra help. Taking them to the park, getting them out of their hair. Because how many times do you hear sleep when the baby sleeps? Well, not if you have a toddler. Like, not if you also have a toddler.
That only works if you either have one child, like the baby is your only child, or potentially if you have either a child that's at school, maybe you could do that, or if they're much older and they don't need your attention. But even still, I think that rule only applies to only babies, like the first baby. I think after that, forget it. I don't know. I couldn't fit that in with my second. There was just kind of no way.
I always laugh because I see these memes where it's like sleep while the baby's sleeping, shower while the baby's showering, like eat when the baby's eating. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like,
but it doesn't really play out that way, does it?
No. So if you can take the kid off their hands, especially if you're like grandma or grandpa or your auntie, like if they trust you and they know that their kid's safe with you, do it as much as you can. Like play dates, park dates, school drop-offs, just taking them maybe even for dinner. Like, it's so nice to just have to worry about feeding yourself and not having to feed that other kid.
The other thing is, for the other sibling, it's actually nice that they're getting that attention as well. In fact, I remember my mum and dad would actively take Sophia with them and have her stay over with them because she wasn't getting the same amount of attention, not straight away. I mean, as time goes on, it's actually the baby that then fits in around the older child. It's the baby that's dragged everywhere. But initially, when you're trying to establish those very early routines, I didn't have the same amount of time to put into Sophia. So my mom and dad would take her and, make her feel special, do things with her on her own. So that was helpful for me, for sure.
Yeah. And I think also feeling out mom and making sure that, let me back up a little. I feel like postpartum time, it's about her. It's not about mother-in-law. It's not about what, so-and-so wants or whatever. It's if there were ever a time to be selfish, it's like right now. It's right now. And so you can hold, if you're a postpartum mom, it is okay to have boundaries. It's okay to have certain visitation rules. It's okay to, it's okay, point blank. And so when you're thinking about helping the mom, getting a buy-in of what she might want is actually very helpful too. Maybe, you are grandma and you're coming over and saying, hey, I'll hold the baby. You go ahead and take a shower, or you go ahead and take a nap. Maybe she doesn't want you to hold the baby. Maybe that actually makes her more anxious for you to be holding the baby while she's away from the baby. Say, hey, I have an hour. I'd love to come by and help you. I can hold the baby, while you're showering or taking a nap. Or if you'd like, when the baby's awake, I can just come by and keep you company and maybe do the dishes, do the laundry, like come help you with some stuff that you can't get to. And not in a judgmental way, because I can see that going south, but in a way where it's like, I remember what it's like, and I would love to come over and help you catch up on laundry and stuff.
Yeah, sure, because there are some mums who do get very anxious, especially in those early stages, about anyone having their baby, handling their baby outside of themselves. I remember a good friend of mine, she was really, I guess, kind of obsessed with germs around her, certainly her first baby. And you had to like thoroughly wash your hands before you were anywhere near the baby. She was really kind of, almost kind of obsessive about it. So that wouldn't have worked for her. If I'd have gone around and said, oh, hi, I'm here to have, baby, she'd have been like, absolutely not. I need baby with me. And by the way, can you wash your hands for the 15th time? Because I'm not sure if you've still got germs on them. So in that case, I would have gone over and offered something like you said, more practical. I'll do the laundry for you. Or do you just want to hang out for an hour? I'll make you, so we were in England, so a cup of tea, obviously, I'll come and make you a cup of tea. And she would have much preferred that. So I guess it does help to know the person you're trying to help, because everyone has individual needs. They have individual quirks and preferences. And one rule does not, one size doesn't fit all when it comes to this.
Absolutely. I follow the golden rule, like it's not my baby, so it's not my rules. And so what does this mother want from her visitors, if she's even having them? Because a lot of people don't want people in their space. Like they want to just bond with the baby and be alone for a little bit. And maybe that is where you'd bring a meal or run an errand for them or do something that wouldn't disrupt that request. But, just because you want to help a certain way doesn't mean that that's going to be accepted by that person. Find out what they would like and what would be helpful for them. And you might be pissed off about it, but again, not your baby, not your rules. I have a friend who has a recent baby, just had a baby. And one of the things she's concerned about is vaccinations. Her child is immune compromised right now because they're not able to get certain vaccinations. And so the people that are visiting, the immediate family, they need to be up to date on their vaccinations, point period. And that's pissing off a lot of people because maybe they don't believe in vaccinations or maybe they have a different way of living. And it's like, that is fine, but not your baby. Like, this is the baby's rules in this time because I am mom and I am law. Like, that is the point of it. Like,
I love that rule. I've not heard of that before, but the golden rule, not my baby, not my rules. Seriously, I love that. We need that like on t-shirts or something. The golden rule, not your baby, not your rules, like butt the heck out.
Totally. And if you've had a baby before, maybe you might think, okay, what was helpful for me or what would I have wished would have happened? I imagine a world where when I had my first child, my best friend lived down the street. And I think, what would she have done if I was in close proximity to her? And gosh, how wonderful would it have been if she had just grabbed my favorite coffee and came over and sat with me?
Yes.
Like, allowed herself to just be like kind of like a raw person right now, like in the sweats and the mom bun, just came over like in her also sweats and mom bun and just let me talk to her. And that just be there. Like that is enough for those close friends. Or if I had like a friend who wasn't as close, maybe if you were like, hey, Christina, I'm at Target right now, and I will be dropping by with a caramel latte. I also am here. Do you need any detergent for your clothes? Do you need any diapers? Like, what can I grab you while I'm here? That would have been wonderful to have in that first baby experience.
So as the saying goes, hindsight is a great thing, but I'm just thinking back to that time. One of the things that I wish if I could go back and do again, I wish I could advocate for myself more, because I think it's quite a vulnerable, well, it's a very vulnerable stage in a woman's life when they're newly postpartum. And, I think I was not setting the boundaries that with hindsight I needed to have set with people around me. And we did touch upon this slightly, 10 minutes or so ago in our conversation. But, it's a case of you don't need to parade the baby. It's not essential that 13 people come and visit the baby in the first, 3 hours of its life. you need to have that, find that kind of inner strength to set boundaries and be okay with that. You're not going to disappoint. Well, even if you do disappoint, who cares? The point is this: you need to, in that stage, that very vulnerable stage, which is solely consumed with looking after this other human, be more selfish. And when I say be more selfish, I'm talking about like basic things like, I haven't showered yet today. I don't actually want anyone visiting me. So no, your mum's not coming over today. Husband, she's not coming over today. I had a bad night with a baby. I don't feel great. I don't want anyone else over here. And having that confidence within yourself to say that, and be okay with the consequences, because 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, no one's going to be, still holding you for the fact that, on day 3, I couldn't come around and cuddle with a baby. They'll have got over it, and who cares if they don't? But so if I could go and tell, the postpartum me anything, it would be, you don't need to be a people pleaser, especially at this time in your life. Do what you need to do for you. Set boundaries for you. The baby's fine, but you need to be fine too.
Yeah. You are not owed, like, you do not owe anyone the presence of your baby. Nope. And honestly, you are going to ruffle some feathers probably, but that's okay. They can be ruffled. And if 3 months down the line, they're still ruffled by it, maybe that's a them problem. My favorite thing to say to people that are like concerned about something that happened a year ago is go, oh, I'm sorry you're still thinking about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're still upset by that. Do you need anything from me to navigate that together? Like, I don't know what to tell you that has happened.
I only have low maintenance friends in my life because I need low maintenance friends, because I can be a bit ditzy sometimes. I need people to be patient with me, and I don't want to think, oh my God, I haven't texted this person 3 days, she's going to hate me. I don't need that. So especially as I've got older, my circle of friends is pretty small. When I say friends, I'm talking about like close friends. It's pretty small, but you know what? Every single one of them is low maintenance. And in this situation, the postpartum situation, you need low maintenance friends around you that get you. And, if they're moms themselves, all the better, because I think, it's difficult to really get it unless you've been a mom. That said, as long as they're low maintenance and they have your interest at heart, they're the people you need around you. Because I've got a really good friend who's been my oldest friend, because we met when we were at nursery together. So we would have been like 2 or 3. And she's still my friend to this day. Yeah, she lives back in England, so we don't see each other very much. But she has never had kids, but she was really, really helpful with both the babies. And she, with my second one, she'd take the older one out just like my parents did. And so it's not a prerequisite that you have to be a mum in order to help another mum. You just need to be low maintenance and be flexible and not get offended if, your help, the help in your imagination doesn't pan out in reality. And just put your friend or whoever it is who's newly postpartum, just put them in the forefront, and, be patient and flexible would be my advice.
Absolutely. And I think that there are a lot of ways that you can help from afar too. Like you had mentioned, your friends far away. And, we have a lot of people that listen to us, I'm sure, that have people that are close to them that are far away. We talked about making a meal earlier. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you're, countries apart. You can there's mealtrain.com, where you can go on and organize a meal train for them and send that out on social media to your friends, and then maybe do a gift card to a local restaurant. You can do a DoorDash gift card. You can send a care package. There's a lot of care package websites and organizations that do like little new mom baskets with like candles and fun stuff. And also, if you got the change, you got the money, one of the most amazing things that have come out of the last few years is postpartum doulas. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't. I know about doulas, but when you say doula to me, I'm thinking about the person that's there during the birth and all of that. So no, tell me about this. Oh,
so
as I
this is something that I've only heard about over the last few years, but basically it's someone you can hire to come over to your home and help you with your baby in the way that you see fit. But unlike a family member or a friend, there are no strings attached because this is a person you have hired, which is so nice. I've hired a housekeeper here and there, and I will say that having someone come over as a housekeeper versus having my mom come over and help me clean, very different situation. Because to your mother or something, you can't be like, you missed a spot there, versus, the person you're hiring. And so this postpartum doula, they're there to support you. So that could look like maybe coming at night when the baby's, most active and having those ongoing wake-ups, and assisting you and just waking you up for the breastfeeding. Or maybe you aren't breastfeeding and they can do the night feedings for you and you can sleep the whole time. Maybe they come in the wee hours in the morning where, it's that time like 4 o'clock in the morning where you could go back to bed till 8 when your kids get up for school. Like you have that little window of time. Maybe it's someone who does tidy the house and helps you with the other things that are around that are needing to get done, but you can't get them done because you're attached to either a pump or a person. You can't move. It's amazing. And they cost quite a bit of money. I looked into it for myself. Yeah, I did. It was a little out of budget, but if we were slightly up.
Yeah, tell me, how much are we talking, though? Because I've never even heard of them.
Well, it's quite a bit. I think it's more like, I think when I was looking at it, it was like the times that we were wanting them to come, it would have been like $800 a week or something like that, which if you're in a different tax bracket than I, is not a problem. But for me, that was quite a jump. And also but here's the thing, though, is when we were talking about having another kid, I said, if we have a third child, we will be saving up for a postpartum doula because I will not do this again if I can't have someone at our house helping us, because 2 kids plus a baby is a lot.
Or the free option, Christina, will be just to move your mother-in-law in.
Well, and that's another thing is if you have someone who is trusted, if you have someone who is trusted, you can have them help. I will say mother-in-laws get a bad rap, and I do have my own stuff with my own. Everyone does. But she was freaking there during my baby's early days. I think I shared with you privately, but when Rennie was a little baby, she wouldn't sleep in a bed, and she wouldn't sleep in that little bassinet thing that I got all ready for her, like next to our bed. She wouldn't do that. She just was fussy, and she only would sleep if she was right on my chest. And she would not co-sleep safely. Like she would not do that. So I couldn't do the whole stripping of the sheets and laying on a flat seat, prison style with the baby. Couldn't do that either. So the only way I got any sleep, and I'm going to get bad mail from this, but I had to sleep on our couch, and I had to create a moat to make sure that she would not fall and suffocate somewhere. And I had anxiety all 2 months that was happening. And so what my mother-in-law would do is every day at 3 a.m., she would come over and open the door. It was unlocked. And grab the baby from me and say, go back to sleep and let me sleep till 7. And so,
okay, everything is forgiven. Now I hear this.
every single day for 2 months, she did that.
Yeah.
It was
that going above and beyond. That's really something.
It was incredible because there were moments, and I've shared, I was battling postpartum depression and all sorts of stuff, and I was dealing with a lot, and there were moments where there were some nights she just would not sleep. She wouldn't go to sleep. And so I knew that no matter how bad it got, that at 3 a.m. there was someone walking through that door who would take this child from me, and I could sleep for at least 4 hours. And having that made all the difference in the world for me. I could navigate my days because I knew that there was that relief coming. And maybe that's not feasible for everyone, but oh my God.
Yeah, that's extreme in a great way. That's unbelievable. So hang on a second. How did you come up with the 3 a.m. time slot? What was that? Because
she is an early waker. My mother-in-law does not sleep. And so she goes to bed at 7 or 8 sometimes. Sometimes she doesn't sleep at all. She just doesn't like to sleep very much. And she naps a lot during the day. And so she had a weird schedule during that time, and she offered it. She was like, I can come over early. And she would come really, really early. And in the early days, I was having breastfeeding troubles. And so I had to wake up every 2 hours. So I wasn't getting much solid sleep in a bed. I was getting this like broken sleep. And the sleep I was getting with her on my chest was anxiety provoking because I was constantly worried that I was going to accidentally drop her. Something was going to happen to her.
Very simple,
It was awful. And so thank God for her. And if I could do it again, if I didn't have a Jules in my life, my mother-in-law, I would hire a postpartum doula or see if a friend could come over even for like 2-3 hours, middle of the day, in the evening. Just some guaranteed away from the baby sleep in a bed was like huge for me.
Oh, totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This conversation is bringing back so many memories. It's such a hard time. It is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I used to really struggle with as well. And again, I had friends that would come and take Sophia, my eldest, and do whatever with her. But say if Sophia so when I first had Eva, Sophia would have been just 2. And so she was still in nappies and diapers and all of that. And, just trying to get Sophia back into a routine of going to, like toddlers, mother and baby type thing. And we used to go to a session twice a week. And just for us to get out of the house, to go to that was a miracle. I don't know how we ever even did it because quite often the baby would have, pooped, so I've got to change the nappy. Or she needed feeding and I was breastfeeding and I didn't get on very well with pumping. So she had to like feed from me every time. There would be a reason that there was no way that we were leaving the house at 9:45. No way. And it was baby related like 99% of the time. And so again, I would have one of my best friends, Anna, she'd come and get Sophia and take Sophia because her youngest son was the same age as Sophia. She'd come and take her. And that was huge because me getting the 3 of us to this mother and baby group was just like, I needed a medal anytime we actually made it there. That's how it felt.
It's huge. It's huge to have that help. And like, they always say, people go, oh, make sure that you're taking care of yourself, self-care during that time. Mm-hmm. But it's so freaking hard because you're thrusted into this routine with this little person who doesn't understand time, has no time management skills. And so, I think even getting a shower on most days is difficult for most people, let alone like taking care of yourself. I think that as a friend, like with these moms that I'm friends with who are nearby, one of the things I'm going to do, having been there very recently, is say, hey, when you are up and about, I would love to bring you some coffee and go for a walk with you. Like, let's get you outside, girl. Like, let's go in the sunlight. Because otherwise you're in this like little den covered in breast milk. Like, you don't know what day or time it is.
No,
it's crazy.
You lose touch with the outside world.
And people would offer to be like, oh, let me do this for you. Let me do that. And I'd be like, can I go? Can I please get the hell out of here? Like, can you please like take me with you? I think that if I were to do it over, I would love to have requested like, can you just take me on outings of like errands with me and the baby that are like nothing errands for you? Like, let's go to the post office. Let's go to Target and just walk around with this baby. But having 2 moms and 1 baby as opposed to just me and myself trying to get my ass to Target, which is a no-go because they scream constantly when they're in those car seats. And you're pulling over to breastfeed and you're sweating and it's just like, is it even worth it at this point?
This is the thing. I remember one time, now this is when Sophia would have been, she was probably about 2 and Eva was still really newborn. And I was in Tesco, which is the supermarket in England. And literally, I just got into the place and Sophia, I don't know what it was about. She just had an absolute meltdown. I just got the cart, the trolley, and put her in it. And I'd got the baby as well. And she just had a meltdown. And you know what? I just decided there and then it was not worth it. It wasn't worth it. So I literally turned back around and left the store. But had I have had that second person, that helper, then maybe they could have distracted Sophia so I could have shopped or vice versa. I don't know. But I was on my own. I was outnumbered 2-1. And the people outnumbering me was having a meltdown on the floor. I was showing no signs of, ending anytime soon. So I was like, I don't need this right now. So we are leaving the supermarket with literally not one purchase made, but it's okay because I am not going to put myself through 40 minutes of this torture.
No, you have to choose your battles with the toddlers. They are not good negotiators. But speaking of store, we've been talking a lot about what you can do with a mom you know. But as moms, we encounter new moms all the time. And a new mom is any mom with a baby who is up to a year old, because we want to keep checking in on our mamas, because just because the postpartum period of 4 to 6 weeks is over doesn't mean they still don't need help. Some of that help drops off for most people. And it's really nice to swing back around and be like, hey, I'm still here to bring you dinner, or still here to take the kids somewhere. But if you encounter a mom, say in the Target or the grocery store, the Tesco, and you see that they have a little itty bitty, I think the most incredible thing you can do is just tell that mom that she's doing a good job. There is no gold stars or report cards in motherhood. And when you are a new mom, you feel like you're doing everything wrong. And having even a stranger tell you that, oh my gosh, mom, you look beautiful. You're doing an amazing job. Look how beautiful she is. Look how happy she is. Or if she's crying, look at how strong her lungs are. But, giving her some moral support. Do not do the whole, I know it's so hard because we're all moms and we do this, we just do it automatically, but don't soak it all in. The time is short. Don't do that. Just say, oh, what a time. You look beautiful. You're doing a great job.
I think that's so nice. I would have loved someone to have said that to me at that time. That would have really made my day, actually.
It still makes my day. I'll be in the store and someone will see me with my kids and they'll say something, they may say, oh, what a cute little girl, or, oh, you're doing such a great job, or, something encouraging. Even a mom glance, when my kid's losing it in Target, because we all have those days, another mom being like, oh, yep.
I was there this morning. It's fine. The other thing is, you mentioned that up to a year, mums are still really in that postpartum stage, even though they may not be officially. In that year, there are so many changes. You think that you've got, your baby settled into a routine. Oh, no, because then they start teething. Oh, no, because then they start. So that year, you're basically constantly feeling like you're just sleep deprived, and you get up off the floor and then someone punches you back in the eye and you're down again and then you're up again, because the changes are vast and they are at you. They are coming. The hits keep coming in that first year. So whether your baby is 6 days old or 11 months old, or frankly any age, I have teenagers, I still feel like someone's punching me in the face mostly. So regardless, just know that as moms, like Christina, you've just said, it means the world to get just encouragement, especially from other moms.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Momversation Club.
And if you've enjoyed today's show, which we hope you have, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review. Your support helps us to reach even more moms out there and build a stronger village.
Until next time, bye from us.